proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today.
Hello, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, we'd like to welcome you to the Volpe Report. I'm Domenic Volpe, your host tonight. We'd like to thank, once again, I have Dennis Tate as my producer here. We appreciate it, and director. We appreciate all the work he does for us. And tonight we have a special night. Usually I always introduce someone who is someone behind the scenes doing some sort of work that maybe doesn't get headlines and does a lot for the community. Well, in this case, we've got someone here who does a lot for the community, but is always in front of the headlines. We'd like to welcome the North County News political commentator, Anthony Bazzo.
Hey,
welcome,
Dom.
Anthony.
How you doing?
How are you?
It's
How
good
you
to
been?
be here tonight.
Yes. Matter of fact, if anyone ever if they ever read the North County News, they're on page 10, I believe.
Is where I live.
Is where Anthony lives.
Right.
He usually has a little column, and he always has something.
In my opinion.
Yes, in my opinion, and it's not just a little controversial. It's usually a lot of controversy.
And we have had a lot of controversial columns.
Yes, we have.
You would ask me when we were talking, like my three biggest columns. But it's like, is it your three biggest columns that you think are the three most controversial? And the most controversial was the column I did on animal adoption agencies.
Yeah.
Saying that they had to come to your house to inspect how you lived. And if they approved of your lifestyle, they were going to give you a cat. And I said, gee, I just blasted and said, how dare some stranger thinks they could come in and judge me? I had cats since before these people were born. And they're going to judge me. Well, that garnered a lot of letters. In fact, there was over 3 weeks. There was at least 5 letters in the paper on that. I guess because everybody that one people can associate with. Everybody's got a pet.
Sure.
And
it taps a certain chord.
Yes. The other thing, the next would be when I came out and I denied man-made global warming. This got all the those were the seminar writers. No, really, I'm not joking. I get a phone call from one of our elected officials that gets emails from one of these seminar groups, and he said, you're going to get blasted because they've emailed all their people to write to the paper against you. And they all said the same thing, but nothing what I said. They're talking about global warming. And I was specific. I said man-made global warming.
Well, are you a climatologist then?
No, I'm a person that believes in common sense. I don't believe if we can stop a hurricane, or we can't stop a tornado, we can't even create one. Right. How are we going to control the worldwide weather when you can't even control a climate in a certain area?
Yeah, but they're saying that because of the production of whether it's nuclear or oil emitting.
One volcanic emission.
No.
Like when Mount St. Helens went up.
Oh, understood.
One volcanic eruption let out more garbage in the atmosphere than all the nuclear tests ever done in the world. Yet, we survived. We didn't go into another ice age. The skies, over a period of time, did what it's supposed to do, absorb the garbage, it dispensed it.
Right.
And this is the problem. We're not more powerful than Mother Nature. We are not. But what I've noticed is that all the answers to global warming or man-made global warming depend on us sacrificing our liberties and our money, yet not the people that advocate it. They don't sacrifice their liberties and money. I mean, have you seen, here you've got Michael Bloomberg, the mayor of New York, doing all these green initiatives, including to have this congestion pricing. Do you see him driving a Beetle? Do you see him flying coach?
Yeah, no.
No, once in a while he takes the subway, but that's for a photo op.
Right.
Because it's just amazing how there's always a cameraman there when he's taking the subway.
Well, I'm sure they've got a couple Suburbans or, Z71s, but there's a fleet of 8 8 of them.
Right, but when he goes to his house in Bermuda, he ain't flying coach. He's flying his own little chartered jet.
Well, the man's worth $11 billion.
Right, but don't tell me I have to change my lifestyle because I'm killing the planet.
So I assume that when you're in your car, whatever, that you're not turning. You're saying, you know what? I'm going to let that car run for a little while.
I have a taxi. Yes, I do. In fact, you're going to enjoy this story. You're going to enjoy this story. County government just had a committee came this idling law now. It's coming. It'll be coming up for a vote very shortly in the county government. Mm-hmm. And it says if you idle your car for more than 3 minutes, you'll face a $250 fine. Now, this, of course, is to save fossil fuels and protect the atmosphere. Again, here we are. Let's still interfere with people's lives to save the world.
Well, what happens if you're stuck in traffic?
Well, that's the problem. So in this story I'm reading, they only have 2 exceptions, and they're for emergency workers. Police, fire, and ambulance. They can leave their vehicles running. Okay. So I call Mike Kaplowitz. I'm reading the story. I'm having my coffee. I call Mike Kaplowitz. And God love him, he always answers the phone when I call. And I said, so Mike, you want cab drivers to get pneumonia. He says, what are you talking about? I says, I'm reading this story on this idling law. I says, what happens? You got a cab in a designated spot waiting for a passenger. He's supposed to turn off the car in 0-degree weather and catch pneumonia. I says, and how about parents at school bus stops? Do they get pneumonia waiting for the bus to come to get their kid?
Or how about just drop off or pick up in the morning?
I says, this is great. I says, you want everybody to save on fuel and the atmosphere to get sick. I says, what do you got, money in the doctor industry now? I says, you got an interest in some sort of cure for the common cold? And he started laughing. I said, that's why. He says, no, Andy, it was misreported. There is a temperature.
Oh.
There is a temperature trigger in there that if it gets to a certain temperature, the law is not to be enforced.
Well, above or below, because you could look at the winter and say, I'm sure if it goes below 60
But now, you tell me, you run for county government twice. Right. What do you think about these laws that start interfering with people's lives? Shouldn't it, I mean, if you
they're too invasive. They're clearly,
if you've got to put a temperature thing in there, maybe you shouldn't have done the law to begin with.
It's almost like it's like they're trying to justify their positions, their jobs, by coming up with these laws that basically are just common sense. And then here's the other side of it. How do you enforce these things?
Well, that's what I mean. You have the garbage police, that if you don't have the proper garbage being disposed, you get a fine on this. Now, I could have sworn there's a little bit more important crime going on. And, of course, we got to spend the $400,000 to protect the county executive. You know, we can't forget about that. And maybe if maybe they could take those guys protecting the county executive and get them to monitor the garbage.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, so at least they'll be doing something that generates an income for the county, with the little fines. And then you got the helmet law for adults riding bicycles.
Well, maybe they're looking for, this is their economic engine. This is what they're going to hire police to just hand out more. Not police, I shouldn't say police. It should be, maybe
enforcement officers, code officers.
Right. And what they'll do is they'll send a fleet of these out into the public.
But you got to figure, and I know, that Westchester County has now got the highest tax in the nation again.
It just came out, I believe, 2 weeks ago.
We made #1 again. We went from #3 to #1.
Yeah, we were down to 3. Now we popped back
now,
up.
mind you, self-admittedly, we know that school taxes are a part of this.
Right.
However, don't you think the county should be wrestling with the problem of removing this honor from the residents of Westchester instead of worrying about how long they're idling their cars or how many calories are in their Dunkin' Donut or their French fry?
Yeah. Well, because they've had what was it? How many in the calorie count?
Calorie count, right? We have the calorie police too now. Right. And it's funny. They modeled it after New York City. So what do they do with the calorie police in New York City? They fine Yankee Stadium because they didn't put the calorie count next to the hot dogs on the menu. And I'm saying to myself, are these people idiots? People have been going to ball games in Yankee Stadium since 1923, and now they got to worry about the calorie in the hot dog?
So obviously when you write in the county, it seems like predominantly you love government intervention, it sounds like.
I don't believe in government intervention. I believe the way the country was founded was minimal government intervention. Remember, we were life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, not guaranteed outcome. Government was not there. If you fail,